Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and a happy Sunday to everyone and a very good evening to all of them who are watching this video. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to manage devices using device control technique. All right. So in the previous video, in the last video, I had given a brief or a complete demonstration about how device control management works if you work in an IT organization, that too specifically if you're working in a cybersecurity domain and you're also endpoint security specialist. Okay, the basic responsibility of an endpoint security administrator is that he is the one who configures device control policies pushed via your traditional antivirus softwares. All right. So in this video, I'm going to help you in understanding how the device control is actually configured using a policy, okay, that is pushed via your traditional EPO. You have McAfee endpoint orchestrator. Okay, if you're using Symantec, it is Symantec endpoint protection manager. All right, and if you're using Defender, it is going to be your M365 security center. Okay, it is mostly the cloud version of your consoles. Okay, generally this McAfee EPO and Symantec endpoint protection management console will be your on-prem based um, endpoint management consoles. All right, but however, when it comes to your Microsoft Defender, you generally have your security center portal managing all of these. All right, and all these policies are pushed via SCCM, either SCCM or your group policy object, your Active Directory. All right, and when it comes to your Symantec endpoint protection manager, or when it comes to your McAfee EPO, all the policies are managed centrally via your endpoint orchestrator from McAfee, or it will be your Symantec endpoint protection manager, which manages all these policies. That also includes your device control policy. All right, so what this policy contains: first, what it contains is the policy will contain all the default hardware lists available. Okay, when I talk about default hardware lists, okay, all these hardware devices, generally what it contains is it contains a class ID, or it also contains something called as device ID. All right, so this is what I have just made a document, guys. Okay, you can see just now what I have specified here. Okay, a device ID is a specific ID that is given to each device. Okay, a device ID can be more effective for blocking or allowing devices because it is made by concatenating a list of data about a particular device. Okay, so device IDs are more generally in a readable format. Okay, so if you see this, here are two common formats for device IDs. Okay, so what it contains is it contains a class, type, and vendor information, as well as model specific. I mean, model is nothing but it will be your number. Okay, vendor will be your make, like SanDisk. It could be Cruiser Blade, or it could be a lot of other models as well. Okay, Toshiba, any kind of USB device for that fact. Okay, so this is how the device ID will look like. Okay, for example, here are the examples of device IDs, guys. Okay, first it will contain a class. Okay, then it will contain a type. Okay, and it will contain the vendor, and also the model number. Okay, also the revision, and also it will contain a serial number. So all these constitute a hardware ID, or sorry, a device ID basically. Okay, you can see this is the class, which is USB store. Okay, uh, it will generally um connect that it is a USB device. That is how it is specified. The first comes the class, and then comes the type. Okay, it could be a disk. Okay, and then and here if you see the vendor, as you can see over here, it says SanDisk. Okay, and model, it tells the model name or number. It says cruiser is the model, and then there is a revision, right, which comes over here, the revision, and then there is a serial number, guys. Okay, this entire part is the serial number. Okay, so this is how device IDs format is constituted. All right, and it works the same for Apple iPod device as well. Class will be USB store, and then there will be a type. Okay, it says a disk. Okay, disk Apple, and then there is a vendor iPod. All right, sorry guys, disk will be your type, and then there is a vendor Apple, and then the model is iPod. All right, and then there is a revision, which is the 1.621 over here, and then there is a followed by there is a serial number. Okay, so this is how the and then same goes to Hitachi as well, ID hard drive, which is again a which again would be the it could be anything, guys, not just the USB. All right, and then you can see for device IDs wildcards are always supported. Okay, for example, when it comes to allowing a particular maybe a particular vendor's USB drive, what you can do is, if you simply add asterisk over here after and, let me copy paste and show you. If I simply add an asterisk after, let's say, cruiser, if I just add a asterisk over here, anything, I mean, any model number, okay, whether let's say any models coming under SanDisk will be allowed, guys, because here the thing is the serial number is going to differ, or it is going to distinct all the, I mean, every USB device will have a different or unique serial number. So that's how the differentiation will happen. Okay, the bifurcation will, I mean, will be happening with the distinctiveness of the serial number, guys. Okay, if the device contains a different serial number over here at the end of the device ID, it means it's a different device altogether. However, if you want to allow every USB devices under the SanDisk model name prod underscore cruiser, okay, all the USB devices within this cruiser category is going to be allowed. Okay, so that's how the endpoint security administrators are going to whitelist a USB device within an IT network only using the hardware ID that is specific or unique to each device. All right, and they aren't going to allow the entire USB devices using a wildcard, just because this particular asterisk over here is going to allow all the USB drives um, coming under the category of SanDisk prod underscore cruiser make or model names. Okay, any USB drive that has model name SanDisk cruiser, all these USB drives are going to be whitelisted. Okay, with just one asterisk after the make over here, the model name over here. All right, and so that's how the differentiation happens, guys. Okay, the differentiation happens in this way, and after which what happens is, if we just go down below this document, right, there is something called class ID. I think I have not documented the class ID thing just yet. So let me see if I can make a document on class ID as well. And just to add, guys, let's say if I want to allow this particular device ID. Okay, this is the make of the SanDisk. So this applies for SanDisk Prod Cruiser USB flash drive, and this is the serial number of that particular SanDisk drive or flash drive coming, I mean, made by SanDisk vendor. And so all we need to do here is, firstly we need to add this device ID. Firstly we need to check if this device ID comes under default devices list, right? So that this is where the policy is going to come into picture or play. We just have to cross verify whether this particular hardware ID is already whitelisted or not. If it is not whitelisted, then we need to add this device, okay, into the device control policy. Okay, once after adding it to the default hardware list, okay, and then we would be able to allow this particular hardware device ID, okay, or device ID or hardware ID into the whitelist policy, um, that will actually allow this particular device alone, but rather it will exclude rest of the hardware devices that comes under SanDisk and Prod Cruiser model name category, right? So only we will be allowing this hardware ID and then ignoring rest of them, right? So this way we are securing our network, or companies secure their network by just allowing specific authorized USB devices, and by blocking rest of them, okay, so that it prevents data theft, okay, as well as it prevents security breaches, all right. And before they allow, guys, okay, the local cyber security team will also check whether this particular USB drive is encrypted with a password, or or it is protected with a decryption key or not, all right? Because unencrypted USB drives will not be allowed at all, okay, whenever data is exchanged, okay, between stakeholders or within the IT companies, okay, they will ensure the data present within the USB flash drives is encrypted, okay, and also it is also it needs to be ensured that it is actually free from any viruses, all right. They will ensure the USB flash drive is scanned prior to copying of confidential data, company's confidential data. Firstly they will scan it for any viruses, right, and also ensure that the device in the form of USB flash drives are indeed password protected, okay, or it is encrypted with a decryption key, all right. So that's how it is done, guys. And I'm just going to quickly search for some online articles and give you some insight about what is class ID, okay, within the device control management. So guys, I'm back. So here is what class ID is about. Okay, a class ID is a generic category of devices that are designated by a Windows operating system. Okay, and also class ID is always listed as a GUID. All right. So here are the examples of some of the class IDs, guys. Okay, for disk drives, this is going to be the class ID. So this is universally accepted, guys. This is not going to change at all. All right. When it comes to disk drive, this is going to be the class ID, right? And when it comes to storage devices, this is going to be the class ID, okay. So this information is not going to change at all, it's universal for everyone. USB devices, this is going to be the class ID, guys, all right. And DVDs and CD ROMs, this is going to be the class ID, guys. And ID, this is going to be the class IDs, guys. And this is going to be the class ID for PCM CIE, right? And if I just talk about a note, just wanted to give you a note. Generally, wildcards are not supported on class IDs, guys. All right. So that is understandable. Okay. So generally, when it comes to IT organizations, they will never block or allow hardware devices using their class IDs. That's simply because, for example, let's say if I create a rule within the device control to um, allow or block USB devices under its class ID, then for example, let's say if I let's say if I allow this particular class ID over here, which is tagged to USB devices, all the USB drives are going to get allowed, guys. Okay, regardless of model name, model number, right, and make of the, does not depend, it does not matter what kind of USB device it is. Okay, everything is going to get allowed, right? But when it comes to hardware devices or device IDs in particular, you can allow it based out of its device ID that is unique to every USB devices. Okay, and it is device specific, guys. Device ID is nothing but it's device specific. Every device will have its own or unique device ID. Okay, and that's the speciality of using your device ID to either block or allow that particular device under the device control policy. All right, however, when it comes to class IDs, okay, if you just use the class ID for either whitelisting or blacklisting, okay, it's gonna create a lot of mess. Okay, let's say if I just put a rule, a conflicting rule, okay, within the device control policy, I say that uh, this is going to be I mean, I just create a rule, okay, to allow USB device, I mean, let's say if I'm going to block all the USB devices, okay, by just putting a rule that says block this particular class ID that is tagged to any USB device. Okay, and then what it is going to do is it's going to block everything. Okay, then even if we create a rule that is going to let's say if I'm just going to try and allow this particular USB device, okay, which I showed you earlier. All right, if I'm just going to say if I'm just going to allow this particular USB device using its hardware ID, okay, there is high chance that it is going to not work because there is a conflicting rule. Okay, because this particular rule says block any USB device. However, if I'm just going to put a rule to just allow this particular hardware ID, and it's going to create conflicts. So it's, I mean, it's basically not ideal to use class IDs for either blocking or allowing, actually, right? So it's better you use the wildcard format, or you just use the hardware IDs unique to each USB device for either blocking or whitelisting. Okay, however, like, but I'm not saying that it's gonna not gonna work, but however, mostly IT organizations will use class IDs if they just do not want to uh, use USB drives within the organization at all. Okay, if the data exchange between stakeholders isn't happening using the USB devices, then that's the particular case or scenario where they will tend to use class ID to block everything. Okay, I mean, allow nothing at all. I mean, if they are not willing to allow any USB usage of USB flash drives within the ID organization, they may use this class ID to block once for all. Okay, so that's how you use the class ID category, guys. Okay, class ID is going to be your general categorization of devices, okay, that are particularly designated by your Windows operating system. All right, and so that's how you do it, guys. And again, this video, I suppose, turned out theoretical for everyone. Okay, in the next video, what I'm going to show you is how to use a tool to pull a class ID or device ID of a particular hardware device. Okay, so that video is going to be a little interesting than this theoretical video, and we will meet in the next video, guys, with more technical related stuffs to cybersecurity. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Until we meet in the next video, stay safe, be healthy, cheers, ta-da, bye bye.